Penguin Random House Audio presents The Heartkeeper by Alex Dahl. Read for you by Mozhan Marnò and Kathleen Mcinerney. This book is dedicated to organ donors everywhere. Tears come from the heart and not from the brain. Leonardo da Vinci. Part 1. 1. Alison. I wake all the time. That is, if I sleep at all. The alarm clock projects the time onto the wall on Sindra's side of the bed, and I lie staring at the pulsating dots separating the numbers. It's just after 2 o'clock in the morning and Sindra isn't here. He was here when I fell asleep. At least, I think he was. I pull my hand out from underneath the warm duvet and stroke the cool, empty space where my husband should be. A few nights ago, the same thing happened. I woke, suddenly, bursting from a dream I couldn't remember, into this black, silent room. I blinked repeatedly, trying to make out the bulky shape of Sindra in the dark. I didn't want to reach for him in case he'd think I wanted something. I wouldn't have been able to bear his warm, careful hands on my skin. It took me several moments to realize he wasn't there. I got out of bed and sat on the windowsill, looking out at the forest and beyond, to the lights of the city rising up the hillsides to meet the stars. It was a very cold night for early October, and an orange moon hung low over Trevon. I felt glad Sindra wasn't there. It was good to not have to pretend to sleep, even if only for a while. I was about to return to bed when I spotted something moving in between the trees, directly opposite the house, off the gravel path. I moved slightly back from the window as Sindra came out of the forest, dressed in a light blue shirt, half tucked into his trousers, and his expensive leather loafers. His shirt was smeared with a streak of dirt across his chest, and he stood a while in the narrow stretch in between the house and the car, as though he couldn't decide whether to come back inside or drive away. He turned toward where I stood on the first floor, and only then could I clearly see his face, which was twisted into an uncensored, almost unrecognizable grimace. If the man standing outside our house hadn't been wearing my husband's clothes, I'm not sure I'd have recognized him. Has he gone back out there tonight? I get up and stand a while by the window. Tonight is stormy with gray, dripping clouds and a brisk breeze hustling leaves in the garden. The forest stands solid at the far end of our lawn, mist seeping from it and joining the wind in translucent coils. It might feel good to walk into that forest, listening to the whip of the wind cracking branches, to let the cold night inside me, to breathe its moist air all the way into my stomach. It might lessen the burning, even if only for a moment. I sharpen my eyes and focus on the spot from where Sindra emerged the other night. But without the light of the moon, I can't separate the shape of a man from that of a tree, even if he were standing right there. He could be standing directly in front of me, looking at me, and I wouldn't see him. I walk over to the door and stand listening before opening it a crack. This house is rarely silent. It's as though a faint hum reverberates from within its walls. The base to every other sound are family layers on top of it. But it's quiet tonight. I stand on the landing, my eyes smarting in the bright light from the overhead spotlights, listening for that comforting murmur, or for the reassuring signs of some of its occupants. But I hear nothing. I glance over at the door to Amalia's room, and am struck by a wild terror at the thought of what lies behind it. The burning flares up in my gut, as though live flames were shooting around the myriad dark corridors inside me. I clutch my stomach and force my eyes away from Amalia's room. I try to think of something to count, anything, and can only think of the steps. 17. 17 steps. I can do it. I can go downstairs and get some water and then I can go back upstairs, past Oliver's room, past Amalia's room, just like that. I can do it. I've done it before. It's just a bad night, that's all. And when I get back upstairs, I can take a pill from the bedside table, and even if it won't give me real sleep, it will give me dense, dreamless rest. In the kitchen, I stand by the sink in the dark. I hear it now, that humming sound. My hands are still holding my abdomen, as though only they stop my insides from spilling out. The burning sensation is fading, and now it feels more like corrosion, as if I'd chewed through a battery. "Severe anxiety," says the doctor. "Hey, baby bear," I whisper. "I bet you can see me right now, even if I can't see you. If you can hear me, can you give me a sign, any sign? The smallest of signs? A plate flung to the floor, a light suddenly coming on, an animal screeching outside. I'd see you in those shards, in that bright pool of light. I'd hear you in that sound. A sign, baby, my darling angel. Please, please speak to me." A light comes on somewhere. A square splash of it spills in through the window and spreads out on the floor behind me. I hold onto the sink with both of my hands. My heart is pounding so hard I can hardly breathe. I want to open my mouth to speak her name again, but no sound will come. I lean toward the window, and then I realize that the light is coming from the garage across the narrow pathway. Sindra is standing at the counter which runs alongside an entire wall of the garage. It's where he usually stands in winter, patiently prepping our family's cross-country skis with wax before the weekends. Oliver's slim racing skis first, then his own, then my beginner ones, and finally Amalia's short, broad ones, with sparkly snow crystals and Queen Elsa's face stretching toward the tips. I am standing in the space between the house and the garage, bracing myself against the wind, which is much fiercer than I'd thought, and I can just make out those little skis on a hook high up on the wall. Sindra stands with his back to me, but I can make out most of what is on the worktop in front of him. He moves strangely, at times fast and jerkily, at times slowly and smoothly, and it takes me a while to realize that he is polishing weapons. He detaches the telescope from a long mat hunting rifle, holds it up to the light, then runs a red cloth over the lens. He's going away in a couple of weeks, moose hunting. I'd forgotten. He goes every year at this time. Of course he needs to prepare for that. A volley of rain surges around the corner of the house and shoots down the pathway, pricking my face and hands painfully. Then I draw my cardigan around me tighter, but I'm so cold. And perhaps a little cry escapes me because Sindra suddenly turns around and walks over to the narrow window to peer out. Though I'm not sure why, I press myself against the wall next to the window so he can't see me. I could just knock lightly on the door and slip into the garage and hug my husband from behind. I could offer him a coffee. I can't imagine either of us will return to bed tonight. But I don't. I remain in the passageway, watching him carefully dismantle and reassemble the two rifles, running the cloth in and out of their nooks and crannies. When he has finished, he reaches up and lifts a cardboard box down from a shelf above him. It looks like a nondescript brown shoebox. He opens it and removes some newspaper, a kitchen towel, and then an object. At first, I can't tell what it is. It isn't big, and because Sindra's back is turned toward me, he is partially blocking my view. Then he puts whatever it is down and takes a couple of steps away to his right, presumably to get something else. I can see it clearly now. It is a steel gray handgun I've never seen before. He opens another box, this one much smaller than the one that held the gun, and shakes several bullets out into his hand. He holds one up to the light, turning it over and around before slotting it and the others into the gun's chambers. I sometimes think about Sindra's other life, the life he lived before me, before our family, I'm...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?